Hello, my name is Lenny, and I'm welcoming you here to the second episode of Trash to Treasure on the German Watchmaking channel. What you can see me unpack here in the background is the second project for this series. And I can already tell you that it turned out to be a lot of work. But firstly, let's have a quick look what I paid for it. So the watch was 18 euros plus shipping. So I did not use all the budget that we accumulated from the first episode. But I saw this watch on eBay and thought it could be a little treasure. And that's what this series is about, right? The case design and the dial definitely scream 70s. And I'm pretty sure that I can get this case under control and make it look nice again. But one very important question is, what kind of movement is hidden in this watch? But before I open it up, let's take a brief look at the history of this watch. Before it became Favor, as it's pronounced in German, Schätzle Tschudin was founded in 1909 in Weil at the river Rhine as Germany's first producer of raw pocket watch movements. From the 1920s, watches were then sold under the name Favor. It is said that one of the founders, Oswald Tschudin, had ties to the Swiss watch industry, which explained their high production quality. By the 1970s then, Favor started using Swiss ETA movements in many of their models, and that's exactly what we have here. One of the last pieces under the Favor brand name, before the brand eventually faded and ceased production. So let's have a look. As I'm opening it up here, will it be an ETA movement for 18 euros? In a nice stainless steel case? Let's see. And would you look at that? It's exactly what we have here. A nicely finished 2783 movement. So I'm already pretty confident that it will run good. Here I'm still removing the old gasket from the case back. It's kind of stubborn. And I can already spot a mark from a previous watchmaker. And as we zoom in here, we can read 87. So this movement might not have seen a service in 38 years. Well, let's get it out of the watch case first. Just lifting it out with the movement ring, and I'm for now placing it in this compartment. And I would like to get this crystal out, which seems to be a mineral glass. So I'm taking my press for that. And I really hope that I'm not breaking it, because those kind of mineral glass crystals are often obsolete and you cannot find any replacement for them. But have a listen to my live reaction here.
Oh God. If it broke, I have a big problem.
Yeah, you could hear that I was kind of tense in this moment. But it didn't break, so I pushed it out further until I could get it out with my hands. And also the gasket stayed intact. The glass looks pretty beat up though, and I can see some deep scratches. Let's have a look at the case. Yeah, I mean, sure, many years of wear. And as I'm looking at it, I'm already figuring out what I want to do. I'd like to get this inner ring polished and the outer part brushed. That I already know. And probably the sides also mirror polished. But before I'm getting to that, let's start with the disassembly of this beautiful movement. Ah, I could already see the date switching, so that works. It's good to know. And the watch is running. Here I'm lifting off the hands, and I don't like them. They have some kind of corrosion, and I'd like to figure something out for them. Here I'm removing the movement ring, metal. It's nice. It's just friction fit on there. And this kind of movement has those hooks to support the dial feet and keep the dial secured on the movement. You just have to bring them outwards and then you can lift off the dial, which has some wear but looks alright. And here I'm already removing the automatic rotor, which looks to be in good condition. And the watch is running all the time, by the way. So that's nice. Here I'm removing the automatic system with all its components. And first act of business, removing the balance, having a look at the hairspring and putting it to a safe place. Now, since I somehow could not release the power, I used some Rodico to fixate the train of wheels, then remove the pallet fork, and thus releasing the power the old-fashioned way. Normally, I would not like to do it this way, since it's putting some pressure on the train of wheels. But this time, it had to be done. And here I'm already on the other side, on the dial side, removing the calendar works. This is a nasty little spring here. Gotta be really careful with it. Also some Rodico to secure it. Always a good idea. And there it goes. Also, probably the nastiest spring to get back into the movement, but you'll see that later. So now I can remove the calendar ring and also put it to a safe place. And starting to disassemble more and more parts. This is which is flipping over the date ring in the end. And as I'm progressing here with the disassembly, I would like to take a moment and thank you for your ongoing support. The channel is slowly growing and I'm really happy about every single comment that people are leaving, and questions are very welcome. I'm always trying to keep a look on the comment section. I also noticed that some people are asking me if I would like to restore or service their watch. And even though I have to say that I sometimes don't even have enough time for my own watch projects, you can gladly send me those requests to the email address that is linked to this YouTube channel, preferably with a picture of the watch, and I can see what I can do. But enough of that, we arrived on the balance side of the movement. Here taking out the reverse threaded crown wheel screw and the connected click mechanism that is laying underneath. Also a nasty bouncy spring that likes to fly away. This time it didn't get far though. Loosening up the screws of the barrel bridge. All 3 screws. The focus lays on 3 screws. Well, there it's off. You can see a little bit of wear. But now I can also remove the train wheel bridge. And start removing all the wheels. Having a look from the side. Also to remember how to put it back. And also to take a look at the pivots if something might not be right. Before going to the cleaning machine, as always, putting the balance back on the main plate. And then removing the cap jewels. Very carefully. I always fixate those shock springs with a little bit of Rodico on the side, because I just don't want them to get out and then I have to fiddle them in half an hour long. So that's why I'm doing it like that. Opening up the main spring barrel. Barrel arbor can be deinstalled. And then I can remove the spring from its housing. I will reuse this main spring, so I'll put it to the cleaning machine as well. The last part of this assembly before going to the cleaning machine is of course the automatics work. And all these wheels are kind of sticky. I can also see some dirt there, maybe over oiling, but probably just dried up oil. These reversing wheels here, I'll also put them to the cleaning machine and lubricate them later with some Lubetta, a mix of oil and isopropanol, giving the whole automatics work and also the rest of the movement a quick rub with IPA, all the jewels. So I'm keeping the fluids in the cleaning machine cleaner and they will last longer this way. watch parts are clean and waiting for assembly. But first, I'm gonna concentrate on the casework. You can see me disassemble the metal bracelet here. And I'm having a closer look at the clasp, where I can see a small dent right there. So I'm trying to hammer that out first. Trying to be as precise and careful as I can be. And then sanding it even afterwards. Then firstly giving it a mirror polish. Before taping off the sides, as you can see here. Which I want to keep mirror polished. And giving it a brushed satin finish in the middle. Here you can see what I try to achieve. The sides, the corners are mirror polished. And the middle is a nice satin finish. For the bracelets, I'm just gonna give it a polish first. And then just brush it. Yeah, so that was the easy part. Now moving on to the case. As you can see, still trying to figure out a plan. But first I'm using this Manhattan wheel to get out deep scratches. Then polishing it. Sorry for the camera movement here. Now I can tape off the sides that are mirror polished. And give the top side a brush. Then I tape off everything besides this middle ring and mirror polish it. And here you can see the result. Mirror polished in the middle and then brushed and then mirror polished again. I still wanna give my case back a little bit of love with my lathe, giving it a circular brushed finish. After that, with a bit of cleaning fluid, pretty toxic stuff, into the ultrasonic to get off all the debris, all the polishing compounds for about 10 minutes. But there's one thing left. I can turn my attention to the mirror glass. I also made a separate, more detailed video just about this mineral glass, because it was actually a big mission. Took me around 3 hours, maybe a bit more even, to polish it. So every little step that you see here took about 15 minutes. Every single sheet of sanding paper. And as you can see here, progress through the different grids. It's getting better and better. The deep scratches are already out. And the higher the grid is getting, the more shine we are also achieving. Now already 7,000, and you see we're getting somewhere. 10,000 grid is then giving already a bit of shine, but to finish it up properly, I use this diamond particle compound and the finisher with my Dremel, and that gave me the achieved look. And here a little comparison side by side, before and after. You be the judge if that is worth it. But let's progress with the assembly of this watch. First, the mainspring. Already in my mainspring winder, satisfyingly clicking into the mainspring barrel. A drop of medium viscosity HB 1300 oil, and the barrel arbor can find its way back. Slowly turning it. And there it grips the hook. Bit of oil there as well. And then the lid can come back on top. Another satisfying click. And the mainspring barrel is complete again. Obviously, keeping it all lubricated at all the important points. Here you can see the cap jewel, but this time I'm using a new tool. I got this automatic oiler from Rhein that gives up just exactly the right amount of oil. And as you can see here, it works pretty good. And then I can place it back into the balance, closing the shock spring, obviously on the other side as well, closing it up, tidying up a bit, taking the balance off the main plate again, so I can start with the assembly. And as it often is, starting with a train of wheels. So here, everything is finding its way back onto the movement. Here comes the center second wheel. Very carefully getting dropped in. It doesn't really want to go. But in the end, they all find their way back. Train wheel bridge. Getting everything aligned. A bit of pressure. And then carefully moving the wheels and seeing if everything engages. And it does. So I can screw it down. So here, the click spring. It's kind of awkward to slide it in like that, but I found it to be the most efficient way. And then the click and a bit of oil before sitting down the crown wheel. A bit of oil in the inside there as well. HB1300 that is. And screwing it down. Now the main spring barrel can return. Also engaging with everything. And the barrel bridge that we already assembled before can get screwed down. Obviously with all its screws. Well, maybe not. And here the ratchet wheel, placing it on top of the mainspring barrel and screwing it down. That already leads us to the other side. Keyless works. Sliding pinion, winding pinion, getting lubricated with some grease, synthetic grease, and placing them in their slots. Also the stem, getting a bit of grease and placing it inside its compartment for the assembly process. Here, the setting lever, putting that into position. Always making sure to grease all the important points. And that's the date correcting lever, by the way. That helps us adjust the date in the second crown position later. And that is the yoke. All in all, an absolute dream to work on this movement. Not my first time as well. Here, the yoke spring. It's pretty easy to put it in. Always making sure it sits correctly so it doesn't go flying. Giving it some love taps. And then moving on to install the setting lever spring. One screw only for that. Now we can already test it. All the different positions of the crown. Not much happening there yet, besides in the first position, which is the winding obviously. So here I'm preparing for the setting wheel. You could also call it intermediate wheel. And that's the date corrector. Again, a bit of HP1300 to lubricate the pivots. And that is the can pinion attached to the driving wheel. That's one component, by the way. And then the minute wheel that sits on top. That part is called the minute work cock. which is secured by 2 screws. I was under the assumption that if something is only secured by 1 screw, it's called a cock. So in my opinion, this should be called Men at Work bridge. But well, it gives us the opportunity to test everything again. Everything is working together. Everything is engaging correctly. So I can install the date disk. Also, again, HP 1300. And this part is the date indicator driving wheel. But firstly, a bit of high viscosity oil to this jewel, otherwise I will not reach it anymore. And then I can fit the date jumper, making sure that it is sitting in the groove of the date disk. Just like that. And then a bit of oil. And that is the... you can see me shaking there already. That is the nastiest spring of the whole movement. Took me about 15 minutes. Here you can see the successful attempt. Moving on to the intermediate date wheel. And that's a bit weird. I mean, I needed to figure out how to install that, because this date indicator guard can't be put before this intermediate date wheel. You have to somehow awkwardly slide it in afterwards. And you see me doing it here. Not quite sure if there might be another way, a better way. But at some point, yep, there it goes. And then I can secure it with 1 screw. And then we're done on this side. That means we can test. Putting in the pellet fork. Carefully putting it into position. Then comes the pellet fork bridge. Or cock. I mean, 1 screw, so probably a cock. Please, YouTube, don't demonetize me for that. It's just a part name. And after screwing down this pellet cock, I can put a bit of wine to the watch. But I realized that that is not working at all. And yeah, I had to take off the crown wheel again. Somehow the click spring got loose. Probably my fault though. And this time I'm installing the crown wheel while pushing back the spring. And now there's tension on it. And now I just need to screw it down. Sorry, I only got the footage from above. But now, yeah, the click is engaging and now I can put wine to the watch. The pellet fork is jumping. Thus, we installed it correctly. Let's put a bit of oil on it. That's actually too much. Here, that looks better. And then moving the pellet fork back and forth so we can lubricate the escape wheel. And now it's time for the balance. We're basically done with the assembly of the movement. Balance is sitting. Just needs a little help. And there it gets going. Honestly, for 18 euros, that's a fantastic movement. Starts to really kick up as well. Looks like a great amplitude just from feeling. I still have the automatics work to do. Now all clean. The reversing wheels that I lubricated before. And now all the other components, the other parts. Finding their way. And this little bridge covers it all up. Closed up with 1 screw. Nice and easy. Of course, lubricating it all. High viscosity oil because there is high speed movement. And also the escape wheel, center wheel, third wheel, getting lubricated. Now, while installing this automatics work on top, I find it easier to give a bit of pressure to the winding mechanism that gives it room to just click into place. And then 2 screws to secure it. Yeah, but something was missing. So there was 1 screw left in my compartment, and that was the 3rd screw for the barrel bridge, which I luckily could fit in afterwards. But now I'm going to regulate this watch. And just straight after the service, it's running way better. But now I'll try to show you how I'm regulating it. Firstly, getting rid of the beat arrow, which is done with this lever. And there the beat arrow goes down to 0.1, always stopping and starting the time grapher again. And here we have the beat arrow down, pretty easy to regulate. Now, oh, that was a big jump, going from -13 into the plus direction. And now correcting the other way. Still seems to gain a few seconds. A little notch. Stopping, starting. And that seems to be already quite good. 280 amplitude is also great. And I mean, come on. For 18 euros, that watch is running amazingly. I already know it. And I'm only adjusting it for, or regulating it for a minute or so. And after fiddling around with it for about 5 minutes, I could get it down to basically ±0. And not only in this position, but also in different positions. With a 270 amplitude, that is really as good as it gets. Now I am already putting on the hour wheel, realizing the date disc is not correctly installed. I fixed that. And then the dial can be placed back. Those hooks pushed in, just like that. And we're ready for the hands. But firstly, trying to get the date to jump. There it goes. And I bought new hands. I couldn't take these old hands. And I like those ones. They have nice fresh loom. And I think they're fitting to the style of the watch. So I spent a little bit of extra money trying to recoup it in the end. Just to get complete fresh hands. And here I'm carefully placing them on the movement. Obviously trying it out if everything is running freely. A white center second hand. Also pushing it on top. Sorry for the angle. I think my camera moved there for a bit. But you can see I'm pushing it down. And also the second hand runs smoothly underneath these big indices. That brings us to the movement ring. And I'm always, with gaskets, I'm using this Bergeron silicone grease to cover the gasket slightly. It just makes it more watertight, water resistant. And then I'm placing the freshly polished glass inside. And firstly, by hand, securing it in the case. Then obviously using my press to secure it fully. And that looks wonderful. Nice and flat. All even. So I can place it back on the movement. Making sure there's no dust. Turning it around. Installing the stem. A bit of oil where the automatic rotor can find its place. And after getting that into position and screwed down, I would like to close this watch, but not without a fresh gasket. Also some silicone grease on that. All the way around. And then putting it around the case back. Placing it in the right orientation. And pushing it shut. And there we have it. Finished watch. And although it was a lot of work, it really grew on me. I'm quite happy with the finish. All the polish went quite good. I'm still assembling the bracelet. Putting the clasp back on both sides. Also looks way better than before. Putting that back on the watch. As you can see here. Just the final touches to get the bracelet going. And here it is, the final product. I'll put it on eBay like that. And after a short before and after video, we will find out if we made a profit with it. And if we turn trash into treasure. Well, and to my surprise, the watch did not sell as expected. It only turned over 41 euros, and I mean, honestly, that's not such a nice profit. But let's find out exactly. So I put it here to my Excel sheet, Favor Automatic. Including shipping, I bought it for 24 euros and 19 cents. I bought the new hands, the new set of hands, for 5 euros and 95 cents. And as you could see from the picture of eBay, I sold the watch for 41 euros and 50 cents. We don't have any eBay fees, so we end up with a profit of 11 euros and 36 cents and a new budget of 134 euros and 74 cents. So a rather moderate increase in our budget. And even though this watch sold kind of cheap, I would have been happy that someone made a great catch and would honor this watch in the future. I also consider myself to be an honest business partner, but when I found out that this watch was sold to a middleman that only has a container address here in Germany, thus being able to buy items from German eBay and then ship them over to Russia to sell them there, also for a profit, I made the decision to cancel this eBay sale and to just give this watch as a present to a very good friend of mine who can wear it, enjoy it, and also have a YouTube video about it online. I hope you can understand this intervention. Basically this time I bought my own watch, but for the price that it would have gone on eBay for. But as I'm seeing it run here, I know that I made the right decision. So now all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.